This is not just a story. This is revenge.
I spent 42 years building a company with my family, and my son fired me from it at his own retirement party, not in private, not behind closed doors, in front of almost 200 people, employees, vendors, friends, people I'd known most of my adult life. The weird part? I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't even stand up. I just sat there, holding a paper plate with a piece of chocolate cake on it. I remember that cake. The frosting had started melting because I'd been holding it too long. Funny what your brain hangs on to. Not the speech, not the humiliation, the cake, and a sentence my son said that still echoes in my head. "Dad, it's time." Just 4 words. At the time, I thought I knew what he meant. Turns out I didn't. Not even close. My name is Richard Hayes. I'm 68 years old. Or at least I was when all this happened. The company was called Hayes Industrial Supply. My grandfather started it after World War II. A tiny warehouse. 1 truck, 1 customer. By the time my son Ethan took over daily operations, we had 3 locations across Ohio and nearly 80 employees. Nothing glamorous, no private jets, no skyscrapers, just honest work. The kind of company where customers still called and asked for people by name. My father Walter used to say something: companies don't belong to families. Families belong to companies if they aren't careful. I hated hearing that when I was younger, mostly because he was right. The company had cost all of us something. My marriage, missed birthdays, school plays, Little League games. I was there physically for some of them. Mentally, not always, and Ethan remembered that, even if he never said it. 3 months before the party, I started noticing something strange. Nothing dramatic, just little things. Meetings I wasn't invited to. Emails that stopped coming. Conversations that ended when I entered a room. At first, I figured it was normal. I'd already announced I was stepping back. Semi-retirement. Advisory role. Less stress. More fishing. That was the plan. At least I thought it was. Then one Tuesday morning, I showed up at headquarters. The receptionist smiled, then looked uncomfortable. "Morning, Richard, morning." I headed toward the executive offices. My keycard didn't work. I tried again. Nothing. I looked at the reader. Red light. The receptionist stood up. "I think they're updating the system." Maybe that explanation made sense, at least for a while. Still, something felt off. I couldn't explain it. Just one of those feelings. The kind you try to ignore, and usually regret later. The retirement party was held at a country club outside Columbus. Nice place, big ballroom, white tablecloths, a jazz trio playing near the entrance. My daughter Emily was there. My grandson Connor, too. 13 years old. Tall for his age. Always asking questions. Always noticing things. He hugged me when I arrived. Then looked around. "Grandpa, what?" He lowered his voice. "Dad looks nervous." I glanced toward Ethan. He was standing near the stage talking with our accountant, Martha Collins. Martha had worked for our family longer than Ethan had been alive. 46 years, maybe more. She looked serious. Ethan looked tense. Then Martha handed him something, a folder. He slid it under his arm. The moment lasted maybe 5 seconds. Then both of them smiled like nothing happened. I didn't think much about it at the time. I wish I had. Dinner came and went. People shared stories, employees gave speeches, everyone laughed, a few people cried, the usual retirement party stuff. Then Ethan stepped onto the stage. Applause filled the room. I smiled. Honestly, I was proud of him. He'd worked hard, built relationships, expanded the business, made mistakes too. Plenty of them, just like I had. I expected a thank you speech, maybe some embarrassing childhood story. Instead, he cleared his throat and looked directly at me. The room got quiet. "Dad," I nodded. He smiled, but something about it felt forced. 42 years is a long time. A few people laughed. He continued, "You taught me a lot." More applause. Then he stopped, looked down at his notes, and for a second, a very small second, I thought he was going to cry. Instead, he said something else, something nobody expected. Effective immediately, Richard Hayes is no longer authorized to represent Hayes Industrial Supply in any official capacity. The room went silent, completely silent. Even the band stopped playing. I thought I'd misheard him. Seriously, my first reaction wasn't anger. It was confusion. What? Then people started looking around, waiting for someone to explain. Ethan kept talking. "All company access privileges have been revoked." I felt every eye in the room swing toward me. My stomach dropped, slowly, like an elevator. I looked at Emily. She looked stunned. I looked at Martha. She wasn't looking at me. She was staring at the floor. And that's when I knew. This wasn't spontaneous. This had been planned. Someone near the back laughed nervously. Nobody else did. Ethan continued, "We appreciate everything Richard has done, but the company needs a clean transition." Clean transition. That's the phrase he used, like I was some old software update. I waited. Maybe there was more. Maybe he'd explain. Maybe this was some strange corporate announcement. He didn't. Instead, he stepped away from the podium. People began whispering. The room suddenly felt smaller, louder, warmer. I set my plate down. The cake was untouched. My hands were shaking. Just a little. Enough for me to notice. Then my phone buzzed. One text message. Unknown number. 6 words. "Don't leave. Not yet." I stared at the screen, read it twice, then 3 times. When I looked back up, Martha Collins was gone. And somehow, that worried me more than what my son had just done. If you've ever had family misunderstandings change the course of your life, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if you enjoy real family drama stories with unexpected twists, don't forget to subscribe. There's another story on this channel that reminded me a lot of what happened here. You might want to watch that one next.